Greetings everybody, it's Space6286, and I apologize because this episode is going to be a little jarring, mainly because I lost the audio somehow that I had for this, but anyways. We're back in Etrian Odyssey, heck yeah, and we're going to the home of the Long Crow. Welcome to the Rooster Inn. We cater to adventurers who explore the forest. Please, make yourself at home. Alright, don't mind if I do. So this is the inn, your basic inn, really. I mean, I don't know. You have sleep and nap. As you'll notice, there's a little timer up in the upper left corner. As you explore the labyrinth, this timer will change and the day will pass by. And so yeah, when you go to the inn and you sleep, not only does it recover all of your health and TP, but it'll also progress to the next day that's taking place. Whereas if you nap, it does the same thing, heals health and TP for the same cost, but it only takes you to night instead of the next day. So nap's a good way if it's during the middle of the day to kind of switch it over to nighttime if there's like an event or some kind of something special you want, and it can only happen at night. As a special note about nighttime, enemies during the nighttime will usually be a little stronger or a little more aggressive. If you go into the labyrinth during the night, you'll run into tougher packs of enemies generally. So usually you want to avoid exploring at nighttime unless you're, later in the game and you have a reason to do that. But generally I avoid it. So that's the inn. We'll deal with more of these other places later. But before we go to the forest, we actually have to head to Ratha Hall to trigger some events. If you just try and go into the forest, it won't let you. No soliciting. This is Ratha Hall, home to Etria's governing body. I assume, newcomers, that you are en route to investigate the forest. However, we don't recognize just anyone who manages to throw together a guild. If you wish to become licensed adventurers, first complete the mission we give you. And so this is basically how the main story kind of progresses in this game. We have some other things we can do here, which I'll talk about later. But except missions, this is the main thing. This is how we progress the story. As we go through, we'll get various missions to kill a monster or explore a certain area or do whatever. And we have to accept them, and then by completing them, we'll kind of advance the main storyline of the game. And usually this will let you progress further into the labyrinth. And yeah, that kind of stuff. So let's accept this. Your mission is to create a map of the first floor of the labyrinth as an initiation. Those who cannot accomplish this elementary task are better off staying out of the forest. Explore the first floor and map everything you see there. This method will be useful later. Here's a small map to start you off. Fill in the rest of the details as best you can. And we get a map. Now, go to the forest and get the details from the soldier on the first floor. And as you can see on the bottom screen here, we have a little map going on. There's a lot actually filled out on this first floor already for us, but it's not usually going to be like that. So anyways, now that we've taken care of that, we're almost ready for the forest. Before we enter there, there's some things we want to take care of with our characters, some very important things. If I can push the right button, that would be nice. There we go. If we go into the menu here by pressing Y, we have a whole bunch of stuff we can do. What first we want to do is actually equip all those items we bought in the store, and this is going to give a little thingy about the equip menu. But yes, when you buy stuff, you don't automatically equip it, which makes sense. That I don't know any RPGs that actually happens in. But yes, we need to actually equip all these weapons. So let's see, Jaichi had the bow and leaf boot. We have leaf boots for everyone. I bought a weapon for myself and Jaichi and Chris. The only reason I didn't buy a lot of stuff for everyone else is 1, money constraints, and 2, the alchemist isn't going to really be, Nikki isn't going to be attacking physically, so she doesn't really need a new weapon, because she'll be using her alchemy abilities. And the same kind of goes for our medic, Lomani there. He's not going to be doing a lot of physical attacking, or at least we're not worried about his physical attacks. So, I'm sorry about that little phone ring there. But, yeah, and now, the next thing we want to deal with is, if you go to the custom menu, and now we have all these skills, is essentially what these are, and you'll notice we have 3 skill points. What you do to get any kind of ability in this game is you use those skill points on these abilities here, in this menu, and as you see, it'll give you an option to level them up. We don't want to level up HP, but this is how you learn abilities, and you start out with only having access to a few, and as you put points into certain abilities, you unlock some of these grayed out ones. Like for instance, this needs your defense up to be level 3. So in order to get access to the flee ability, we'd have to level up our defense up ability to level 3, and then we'd get access to the flee ability. So I'll kind of go over, I have specific things that I want to, paths, I guess you could say, for each character that I'm kind of concerned about, which I'll go over as we kind of do them. I'd highly recommend, though, when you're doing this, to not just do it haphazardly, don't just pick stuff. Actually think about capitalizing on the strengths of your characters and what you're going to be using them for. So if you have, for instance, a protector, you're probably going to be wanting to put points into shields, because that's going to access all those other abilities, and you're going to want to think, you know, what kind of abilities are you going to actually use and what ones you're not going to use, and that kind of thing, because you don't have enough points to get every single skill. Like, not even, I mean, I guess if you put 1 point, you know, if you got the bare minimum, you would, but you can't max every skill. Even if you maxed out your levels, you won't have near enough. So you really have to think about what you're going to want. If you screw up or something, you want to reset it, there are ways to do that in this game. Luckily, you don't have to complete it, you know, create a new character or anything. You can go to the Explorers Guild and reset your points to kind of, you know, redo a character if you need to, but we're gonna have to do that for some of these characters because just how the game works. Some abilities are more useful during the beginning of the game and almost useless at the end of the game, but for the most part, try and pick your abilities smartly, because if you keep trying to reset your character, there is a penalty for that, and it's gonna cost you. So yeah, and that's about it. As far as the characters I have, starting with, I don't know, for Protector, go for shields. For your Survivalist, that's kind of up to you. They can go a lot of different routes and it kind of all works. I'm going for Agility and bows. The Troubadour here, we're gonna, of course, get Song so we can actually learn abilities, and go for Bravery, just as a basic thing. The Medic, just get your Cure spell. That's basically all I need to worry about right now. And for the Alchemist, if you're using an Alchemist, I'd get one fire ability. Don't put a lot of points into it, though. I'd also highly recommend putting points into Toxin at the early stage of the game, because the ability Poison, which it unlocks, is very useful at the beginning of the game. It's useless at the end of the game, practically, but at the beginning of the game, it can seriously boost your power to absurd levels. So, now that we've taken care of all of that, though, we can finally enter the labyrinth here, the forest. At the brink of the maze. Awesome stuff. We'll deal with geomagnetic field later. That doesn't come into play for a bit, but here we have the first stratum. We also get a nice little screen on the bottom screen too, which I'll find some way to show them both, but the first hope-filled steps. So they have cool names for all these floors, usually very appropriate, but yeah, I think we're gonna get into a little event here, but as you can see, we're in first person. We have a first-person view in the labyrinth, and that's kind of how it sticks. It stays first-person, and you kind of are able to move around one square at a time. And, well, the Yggdrasil Labyrinth. One task must be performed before challenging its depths. As you have some skill at adventuring. Okay, so this is just basically, it's going to explain that you can use your skill points, essentially. For newcomers, in case they don't know. But here on the bottom screen, you can see we can kind of move around, and this is what you see on that's what you see on the map. But as you walk the narrow path, greenery all around, you see a soldier standing guard. You must be the new guys. The Rada told me you'd be along. Welcome to the forest. A few questions for the soldier spring to mind, but you wonder if you shouldn't let him be. Oh, let's ask what he's doing here. The soldier answers your question slowly. My orders are to make sure no one, you for example, gets in the forest without permission. If you want in, start the way everyone does. Make a map of the floor we're on. As I'm sure they told you back at the Rada, everyone goes through this initiation. With that, the soldier points to the map of the forest you hold in your hands. In this game, blah blah blah, and this is just a mapping tutorial of how it all works. I don't want to go too much into that, but this area inside the red border shows where you've got a map. Finish the part and see me. Let's ask about the labyrinth here. The soldier looks around him once before answering. We call this the Yggdrasil Labyrinth. It's a pretty strange place. The ecology here is completely different than the one in the world above where we live. It goes down so deep that no one has ever seen the lowest stratum. If you plan on exploring down there, then make sure your guard is up at all times. His speech delivered, the soldier loses interest in you and returns to his post. You hesitate, unsure whether to ask him another question or let the matter drop. Let's let it drop. We've asked him all we needed to. So we decide to leave and be on our way. Whoa, random slowdown. Alright, so we've got a little bit of time left, so let's start with some exploring. As you saw with the map that we had, if you see here on the bottom screen, we can kind of move around and look around, and then we're able to draw in all of the walls and all of that kind of stuff that's going on, which is really cool. I really like this about this game, is that you don't just get a map or find a map. You have to make your own map, and you have to rely on your own mapping skills to be good in order to actually survive. But as you can see in the upper left right, in the lower right corner of the top screen here, geez, we have a little circle thing. That's, well, there we go. It indicates how close you are to getting into a random battle, and red means we're very close, so here we are, our first random battle. So let's divvy up our things here. Now, this game is not an easy game. It's not horrible, it's not mean hard, but they definitely don't hold your hand at all. They expect you to be fully prepared at all times for pretty much anything that could happen. So keeping that in mind, don't take random battles lightly, I should say. Even at this beginning stage of the game, if you don't have a decent team, or if you're just kind of mashing the attack button or whatever, you're probably going to die pretty fast. You want to make sure you keep your health up, and that you divvy up who's attacking what intelligently. If this isn't a game like Golden Sun where if you kill an enemy and everyone's focused on that one enemy, then everyone else defends or something like that. They'll auto-target enemies, but still, if you actually choose who's going to attack what, you can finish off any enemies much more efficiently, rather than just wasting time having everyone single target and then people attacking enemies that they probably didn't really need to do or need to attack. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, I think. But anyways, let's keep exploring around here. Just kind of taking it slow. I usually play this game, I kind of, walk a little bit, map a little bit, kind of do it both at the same time to make sure I stay accurate. There's definitely times where I get ahead of myself and I'm just like, oh shoot, I just want to get to this area, so I just keep walking, and then I kind of map it out a little bit later what I think I passed by, and then when I get back down to the floor, I realize I missed something, or maybe I'll come back and I didn't map something well enough, so there'll be like a whole section of the map that I didn't even realize existed because I put a wall where there's a path or something like that. So don't take your mapping lightly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we have another battle, this time with a bunch of wood flies. You might have noticed in the last battle that not only did we get a little message saying we encountered a new enemy, we also got some items and such. I'm pretty sure we did at least. Basically, as you fight enemies and defeat enemies in this game from random battles, you don't actually get money for killing them. They just don't randomly drop money. How you get money is they'll drop items that are related to them, like these guys drop insect eyes or bug wings and stuff like that, and you have to sell those enemy drops back to the store back in Etria to make your money. And usually, oh, there we go. Well, in case we didn't see one earlier, we have some items there now. A bug wing. And every enemy usually will have more than one drop. They'll usually have two. They'll have a normal drop that just kind of has a random chance of dropping, usually not too, it's a pretty decent chance of it dropping. And they'll usually have a second one, and that kind of depends. Sometimes it'll just be a rare drop, meaning it could drop the same as a normal drop, but it's just harder to get them to drop it. It's a rare drop. I think it's self-explanatory. They also have special drops where you get them by having to kill them, usually in some kind of specific or special way. For example, those wood flies that we're fighting, if you kill them with magic, they'll drop insect eyes, as opposed to just the normal bug wings. And usually, if you kill an enemy through the special means, they have a very high rate of dropping their special item, usually. But ooh, another battle and more new enemies. Moles at this stage are probably the hardest enemies you're gonna face. Most of the enemies don't have a lot of HP around here or anything. If you have two good attackers, like a survivalist and a protector, me and Jaichi will probably be able to take out one of these guys by ourselves, with maybe a little help from Lomani, it looks like. But these moles are going to have a lot of attack power, as you saw. They did about 9 damage, which, considering when you have about 20 HP, that's almost half your health with one hit, so it's insane. And they do a little less damage to me because I'm a protector. I have more defense than the rest of the group, which would make sense. I've got like huge amounts of armor. But there we go, another new monster and a new thing. We're kind of running low on time though, so I think we're gonna leave more exploring all of this area and everything for later. And we'll just kind of leave now. If you notice, if we went up to that wall and we had a little prompt there, you'll find hidden passages along walls throughout the game. But I'll get into more of that later, because like I said, we're running out of time. So anyways, thanks you guys for watching, and join me next time, where we hopefully will finish off exploring the first floor. See you guys then.